Please stand up. Ladies and gentlemen, please rise for the national anthem.
Jeszcze Polska nie zginęła, kiedy my żyjemy. Co nam obca przemoc dzieła, szablą odbierzemy. Marsz, marsz Dąbrowski, z ziemi włoskiej do Polski. Za twoim przewodem złączę się z narodem. Marsz, marsz Dąbrowski, z ziemi włoskiej do Polski. Za twoim przewodem złączę się z narodem. Przejdzie Wisłę, przejdzie Wartę, będzie Polakami. Dał nam przykład Bonaparte, jak zwyciężać mamy. Marsz, marsz Dąbrowski, z ziemi włoskiej do Polski. Za twoim przewodem złączę się z narodem. Marsz, marsz Dąbrowski, z ziemi włoskiej do Polski. Za twoim przewodem złączę się z narodem.
Please be seated. Ladies and gentlemen, in my capacity as director of the International Cooperation Center of the Łódź University of Technology, I am honored to open the inauguration ceremony of the 2025-2026 academic year at the International Faculty of Engineering. We are deeply honored that so many distinguished and esteemed guests have chosen to grace us with their presence at today's ceremony. It is my great pleasure to introduce and welcome them all. However, in order to proceed smoothly, I will need your assistance. After each name is read, please respond with just one round of applause. Fortunately, we are supported today by the professional conductor of the choir, who will guide us through this exercise. So let's give it a try. So I will read the name, and then at the conductor's signal, you will clap just once, okay? Let's give it a try, okay? John Smith. Okay. Let us now move to the official list of our guests. I am honored to welcome at our ceremony Professor Krzysztof Jóźdźwik, His Magnificence Rector of the Łódź University of Technology. Very good. We are very honored by the presence at our today's ceremony, Ms. Aleksandra Uznańska-Wiśniewska, Member of the Parliament of Republic of Poland. Very good. We cordially welcome Professor Adam Wojciechowski, Vice Rector for Development at our university. And Professor Witold Pawłowski, Vice Rector for Student Affairs of our university. I cordially welcome Professor Paweł Strumiło, Director of the Institute of Electronics at the Faculty of Electrical, Electronic, Computer and Control Engineering, former Vice Rector for Development at our university. This academic year marks a very special moment for us because Professor Paweł Strumiło is completing his service as a Vice Rector for Development. So today we would like to extend our deep, deep gratitude for your academic culture, for everything, for your great support. You guided us through many, many challenging projects. So we wish you all the best in your incoming roles and duties at our universities and not only. At the same time, we would like to congratulate and welcome the newly appointed Vice Rector for the Development, Professor Adam Wojciechowski. We wish you all the best, many successes, many achievements in this very, very important role at our university. Now it will be easier. Flower to you. I warmly welcome at our ceremony the deans of faculties cooperating with the International Cooperation Center in International Faculty of Engineering, Professor Jacek Sawicki, Dean of the Faculty of Mechanical Engineering, Professor Jacek Kucharski, Dean of the Faculty of Electrical, Electronic, Computer and Control Engineering, Professor Małgorzata Szynkowska-Jóźwik, Dean of the Faculty of Chemistry, Professor Edyta Gendaszewska-Darmach, Dean of the Faculty of Biotechnology and Food Sciences, Professor Robert Sarzała, Dean of the Faculty of Technical Physics, Information Technology and Applied Mathematics, and Dr. Ilona Pęc-Piętrzak, Vice Dean for Education and Student Affairs at the Faculty of Organization and Management. Professor Sarzała, you are also beginning a new term. I cannot see you very clearly as the Dean of a faculty, so let us congratulate you on this achievement and wish you all the best for the future roles at the faculty, but not only. Yeah. Łódź University of Technology is celebrating 80th anniversary this year. This is also the jubilee of three founding faculties of the university, the Faculty of Mechanical Engineering, faculty with a very long name, but so-called Electrical Engineering, and the Faculty of Chemistry. So allow us in this modest way to express our gratitude for your cooperation, for your great support. I'm so proud, we are all very proud, but from the very beginning, you are supporting IFE scheme, IFU framework, and not only within different curriculum programs that are run at IFE, but with different projects. So thank you very much for this great support. not least, of course, okay, let's come back to our list of distinguished guests. I cordially welcome at our ceremony Mr. Włodzimierz Fisiak, Chancellor of Łódź University of Technology. I welcome Dr. Mirosław Sopek, the Chairman of the Łódź University of Technology Council. Professor Paweł Wawrzyniak, Dean of the Faculty of Process and Environmental Engineering. I cordially welcome former rectors of the Łódź University of Technology, Professor Stanisław Bielecki and Professor Sławomir Wiak. We are waiting for Dr. Halina Kresińska, our former rector, Professor Kresiński, wife. I also welcome at our ceremony, and I am very honored to have with us today Ms. Alicja Bień, Honorary Consul of France in Łódź. Dr. Paweł Michalak, Honorary Consul of the Republic of Albania. Professor Wojciech Wolf, Honorary Consul of Grand Duchy of Luxembourg in Łódź, member of the Łódź University of Technology Council. I cordially welcome Vincent Guérin, Director of the Alliance Française in Łódź. I cordially welcome at our ceremony, and we feel very honored by the presence of Auxiliary Bishop of the Archdiocese of Łódź, Piotr Kleszcz. And also the guardian of the Priory of Sanctuary of St. Anthony in Łódź Łagiewniki, Dr. Marek Sekuła. I cordially welcome at our ceremony Dr. Piotr Kępski, Director of the Department of Programs for Institutions at the National Agency for Academic Exchange. And Magdalena Senator, who is leading Erasmus Plus in Hub Łódź Foundation for the Development of Education System. I cordially welcome at our ceremony Marek Szymański, Director of the District Examination Board in Łódź. Welcome. And Błażej Moder, Managing Director of EC1 Łódź City of Culture. We are very pleased with such strong presence of companies here today. You all know that this is our great ambition, to get closer to you, to start the education that is based on the reality, on real challenges. So thank you very much for being with us today. And I take this great pride in welcoming Dorota Lombardi, Business Development and Support Department Director, Łódź Special Economic Zone, Magda Kubicka, Innovation Department Director, Łódź Special Economic Zone, and Monika Tomaszewska, expert in Department of Innovation, Łódź Special Economic Zone. I cordially welcome to our ceremony Przemysław Dakrzewski, Head of Corporate Technology Center, ABB. Leszek Noworol, Board Member, Airbus Helicopters Polska. Paweł Adamowicz, Board Member, Chief Technology Officer, BSH Home Appliances. Wiktor Wesołowski, President of the Board, Wescom Company. Maciej Rodziewicz, Lean Program Leader, BSH Home Appliances. Martyna Bogatek, HR Process and Project Specialist at BSH Home Appliances. Mateusz Famulski, Digital Transformation and Business Process Services Poland Lead at Fujitsu Technology Solutions. Welcome. Maciej Zbrzeżny, Principal Software Developer at Fujitsu, Distinguished Engineer, Fujitsu Technology Solutions. Marta Jemioło, HR Specialist, Hutchinson, Poland. Sylwia Mikołajczyk, Director of Human Resources, Grupa Krotowski. Wojciech Bogus, Production Control and Logistic Manager, Szauma Plast, Polska. Kamila Szymczak-Rutkowska, HR Business, Partner Veolia Energia Łódź. I would like to welcome our guests from partners secondary schools cooperating with IFE, specifically within FAMI framework. I cordially welcome Ms. Izabela Kapłun, Principal of Toul Public Secondary School. Ms. Aleksandra Ratuszniak, Principal of a 13th Secondary School in Łódź. Anna Plaskota, Principal of a first secondary school in Orzorów. I warmly welcome Jeremy Chapin, Lecturer in Farming Project. Ms. Anna Zubert, French language teacher in the Language Center at our university. Magdalena Hebdowska, President of IFE Alumni Association. And Kamil Chałupnik, conductor of a choir. I cordially welcome Dr. Ewa Chojnacka, spokeswoman of Łódź University of Technology. Dr. Bogdan Żółtowski, student ombudsperson at our university. Ms. Adrianna Kozłowska, director of a Center for Teaching and Learning at our university. I welcome vice deans of all our university faculties. Professor Damian Obidowski, Vice Dean for Development of the Faculty of Mechanical Engineering and Head of Mechanical Engineering Councils. Dr. Łukasz Stawiński, Vice Dean for Student Affairs of the Faculty of Mechanical Engineering. Professor Łukasz Szymański, Vice Dean for Development at the Faculty of Electrical, Electronic, Computer and Control Engineering. Professor Ewa Raj, Vice Dean for Education of the Faculty of Electrical, Electronic, Computer and Control Engineering. Dr. Krzysztof Tomalczyk, Proxy of a Dean of the Faculty of Electrical, Electronic, Computer Control Engineering for IFE Affairs, Head of our Electronics Program Council. Professor Dariusz Bieliński, Vice Dean for Development at the Faculty of Chemistry. Professor Beata Brożek-Płuska, Vice Dean for Education of the Faculty of Chemistry. Professor Grażyna Budryn, Vice Dean for Development at the Faculty of Biotechnology and Food Sciences. Professor Joanna Berłowska, Vice Dean for Student Affairs at the Faculty of Biotechnology and Food Sciences. Professor Agnieszka Wosiak, Vice Dean for Student Affairs at the Faculty of Technical Physics, Information Technology and Applied Mathematics. Professor Maciej Dems, Vice Dean for Development of the Faculty of Technical Physics, Information Technology and Applied Mathematics. Okay. Dr. Kamil Lubiński, Proxy of the Dean of the Faculty of Organization and Management for IFE Affairs. I warmly welcome heads of IFE fields of studies, different programs run within IFE framework. Dr. Aleksandra Królak, head of the Biomedical Engineering and Technologies Council. Dr. Krzysztof Grudzień, head of the Human-Computer Interaction Council. Professor Piotr Napieralski, head of IT, CSIT Councils. Professor Katarzyna Szymańska-Dębowska, Head of the Mathematical Methods in Data Analysis Council. Professor Cezary Lapiejko, Head of the Department of Materials Engineering and Production Systems at the Faculty of Mechanical Engineering. Dr. Artur Błaszczyk, Department of Materials Engineering and Production System at the Faculty of Mechanical Engineering. Dr. Michał Kulak, Institute of Turbo Machinery at the Faculty of Mechanical Engineering. Dr. Michał Zagrodny, Department of Automation, Biomechanics and Mechatronics at the Faculty of Mechanical Engineering. Dr. Michał Gajdzicki, Department of Structural Mechanics at the Faculty of Civil Engineering, Architecture and Environmental Engineering. Last but not least, Dr. Przemysław Pomykalski, sorry, Przemek for that, Institute of Management at the Faculty of Organization and Management. It is now time for a very important address. Let us welcome warmly Professor Kresiński-White, Dr. Halina Krysińska, together with the former director of IFE, very important person for the development of IFE, Dr. Małgorzata Miller. Okay, it is now time for a very important address by the most important person at this university. I kindly invite so-called Rectus Magnificus, I learned this through ECAU Council last week, to take the floor.
Thank you, dear Professor. Dear Member of the Parliament, dear rectors, dear deans, all special guests that are here today, and students, especially those who are the candidates for the study, and in a few minutes will start to be students. Today, you begin your studies at Lodz University of Technology within the framework of the International Faculty of Engineering, shortly IFE. This is a unique project in which the faculties of our university cooperate under the umbrella of IFE to provide you with the best possible education, the best in terms of academic excellence, but also in terms of international cooperation and many other opportunities. We hope you will recognize our university and the international faculty as the place of useful life and useful learning. We will do everything possible to support you, but please remember, the main effort must come from you. Your learning will not only be shaped by the formal study program and university-organized activities, but informal learning outside the curriculum is equally important. That is why I encourage you to be active in student organizations, in sports, in student research groups, and in many other activities that are offered and not offered by university. As a result of your studies here, you will develop employability. What does it mean? It means gaining knowledge, skills, and competences required by the labor market, the very tools that will help you succeed in your professional life. But your education is not only about preparing for a good job. Poland, Europe, and the world need well-educated citizens, equipped with critical thinking, communication skills, and openness to cooperation. Studies at IFE are a truly unique experience. From the very beginning, you will find yourselves in a highly international environment. Already today, more than 250 foreign students from all over Europe and beyond Europe are studying here. Learning together, working in projects, and interacting every day with colleagues from different cultural backgrounds is a tremendous value that prepares you to live and work in a borderless world. Let me also emphasize very clearly, mobility is not an option here. It's an obligatory part of your studies. Every IFE student will spend a semester, or even a year, or even more, abroad at a foreign university. This experience not only broadens your knowledge and horizons, but also develops independence, openness, and adaptability, skills that are essential for today's labor market. I do hope, but it's small. I am positive that your older colleagues confirm that this period is often one of the most rewarding and valuable parts of the entire education. And mobility today goes beyond Erasmus exchanges. Lodz University of Technology is also part of the ECIU University, the European Consortium of Innovative Universities, one of the first European university alliances. Through ECIU, you will have the chance to learn in a new way, solving real-life challenges together with students and researchers from across Europe, and gaining these skills and mindset needed for the future. The Alliance shows that you are not only students of our Lodz University of Technology, but also students of a European university, part of a community that crosses borders and builds the future of higher education together. Dear students, today you begin a remarkable journey. We welcome you warmly, and we are proud to have you as a part of our university community. The future is in your hands, and we believe in your success. I wish you, your colleagues from older years, academic teachers, and all employees of our university a good year, a time of fulfilling dreams and investing in yourself, a time of tolerance and friendship, a time of a long-awaited peace. Vivat Academia, vivat professores. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Rector Magnificus, for your remarkable words for welcoming our students. Ladies and gentlemen, allow me now to take the floor for a while and welcome my students at the International Faculty of Engineering. Dear students, yesterday we spent the entire day together. And I had already this opportunity to share with you many thoughts. Yet I chose to leave for today what I believe is the most important message of all. I would like us to pause and consider something more fundamental today, not only for your individual future, but for the future of the societies and communities you will help to shape. These years at the university will, of course, give you knowledge, skills, experiences, but more than that, they will quietly shape who you are and what kind of future you will help create. That is why the values you hold on to during this time matter more than you might think. There are two values I want to reflect on with you today. A few years ago, many would have called them obvious, maybe even old-fashioned, but today it is clear. Our common future depends on them. They are peace and goodness. What is peace? It is not just the absence of war. It is the ability to hold space for someone else's voice, even when it clashes with your own. It is the strength to stay in dialogue when it feels easier simply to walk away. It is the everyday efforts to rise above divisions that pull people apart. And what is goodness? It is not a loud or dramatic force. It works quietly. It often goes even unnoticed, and yet it can change everything. A kind gesture, a moment of patience, the decision to help when no one is watching. These create ripples that travel far beyond what we can see. Goodness is the one language that every person, everywhere, understands. Now think about it. How do your studies connect with these values? Of course, education is about your future career, your personal growth, but it is also about something larger. What you learn here can become tools, not only to succeed, but also to build understanding in divided communities and to support those who feel left behind. Your education does not belong to you alone. It belongs in part, of course, to all of us, the whole community. We live in a world saturated with consumerism, with competition, with a strong belief that humans can master and control everything. In such a world, peace and goodness can look like weakness. Slowing down, listening, caring, these things can encourage when everything around you says, be faster, be stronger, more for yourself. And yet, precisely because it is hard, it is meaningful. Choosing peace, choosing goodness, these are not passive acts. They are acts of resistance, of strength, and hope. They are ways of saying the world can be different, and I am willing to begin with myself. That is why we want IFE to be a place where these values are lived, not just spoken about. A place where peace and goodness are part of a daily life in how we learn, how we collaborate, how we treat one another. I am so grateful that so many projects could be done, also with the great support of NAVA, and I'm so proud to have Piotr Kępski, the director from National Agency for Academic Exchange with us. Piotr, this is also with NAVA. We can provide some extracurricular projects that equip our students with such important skills and competences. Thank you once again for being with us today and for your everyday support. Thank you so much. Please applaud NAVA. Challenges will not disappear. I know it's not all very easy, and I know that challenges are all around us, and they will not disappear for you individually, nor for us collectively. But if you allow peace, goodness, or all these good values to somehow shape your studies, your choices, your lives, then your education will be more than just preparation for your future career. It will be a preparation for the very, very difficult, but I do hope noble task of human coexistence. And that, I believe, is the highest calling of any university. Oh, I need to move the presentation. Yes. International Faculty of Engineering was born because someone dared to look further, deeper, because someone was a true visionary who was not afraid to reach for his dreams. That man was Professor Jan Krysiński, four-time rector of the Łódź University of Technology. Only a week ago, we had the great honor of giving the IFE lecture hall, IFE auditorium, his name. Today, I would like to make a heartfelt request. Please take the time to get to know him better. There is a plaque in the hall pointing to his biography, but there are also many, many sources, online sources, telling the story of who he was and what he accomplished. Me personally, I had an extraordinary privilege and honor of growing by his side. And I can say with certainty that those two values I mentioned previously, I mean the peace and goodness, stood above all others in his life. They guided his choices, his leadership, and his relationships. Professor Krzyński achieved remarkable things. To this day, he is quoted and remembered by people across Poland and far, far beyond. We are deeply proud that he was, and I do believe he still is, a part of our academic community. So, when you pass the wall that welcomes you to our auditorium, I would like to ask you not to remain indifferent. Look at this great personality and at his spectacular life and seek lessons for yourselves. If you do so, you will find strength and guidance. That is why I warmly invite you to learn a little bit more, even today, about Professor Krzyński. Discover altogether what an extraordinary human being he truly was.
Nie każda podróż w przyszłość wymaga rakiety. Niektórzy budują ją słowami, muzyką i mechaniką serca. Był 4-krotnym rektorem Politechniki Łódzkiej, ale jego wizje wybiegały znacznie dalej niż kadencje i tytuły. Jako rektor marzył o Politechnice Łódzkiej otwartej na świat, uczelni, w której rozbrzmiewać będą języki wielu narodów, a różnorodność kultur stanie się źródłem siły i inspiracji.
Przebywałem dosyć często za granicą i nawiązałem bardzo dużo kontaktów z profesorami uczelni francuskich. I te moje kontakty spowodowały, że z Francji najpierw przyjechała dziewczyna, potem zaczęli przyjeżdżać Francuzi studenci. I to były te pierwsze w ogóle wymiany.
Z tej wizjonerskiej idei narodziło się Centrum Kształcenia Międzynarodowego International Faculty of Engineering, IFE, unikatowa przestrzeń spotkania kultur, symbol nowoczesności, otwartości, miejsce, w którym marzenia o globalnej akademii znalazły swój trwały kształt. Wierzył przy tym głęboko, że uniwersytet to nie tylko miejsce nauki, lecz przestrzeń, która inspiruje, która wychowuje człowieka, nie tylko specjalistę inżyniera.
Politechnika Łódzka to jest moje życie, moja pasja. Jestem całkowicie tej uczelni oddany i bardzo się cieszę, że ta uczelnia kwitnie, ale kwitnie dzięki zrozumieniu zadań przez pracowników, dzięki temu, że znalazłem współpracowników, którzy również mają tą pasję działania, tworzenia.
W świecie profesora nauka i sztuka nie były sobie obce. Wiedział, że uczelnia techniczna to nie tylko laboratoria i wykresy, ale także przestrzeń dla brzmień, które poruszają serce i budują wrażliwość. To z jego inicjatywy powstał w Politechnice Łódzkiej salon muzyczny Muzyka na Politechnice. Utworzył również orkiestrę Politechniki Łódzkiej, aby i studenci mogli czerpać z tego niezwykłego źródła, jakim jest muzyka i muzykowanie. Jego świat nie kończył się na laboratoriach. Sięgał do wartości, do etyki, do odpowiedzialności.
Można sobie postawić pytanie, czy sprawowanie funkcji rektora to jest władza czy służba? Uważam, że i jedno i drugie. Władza jest bardzo szeroka, ale do tej władzy należy podejść z pokorą, bo musi być to jednocześnie i służba, służenie społeczności akademickiej. Młodym ludziom należy dawać odważne zadania, należy ich mobilizować do realizacji tych zadań. Teraz powstają rzeczy niekonwencjonalne, bez uprzedzeń, bez ograniczeń.
Professor Krasiński has passed away. Professor Krasiński has passed away, yet he has not left us. I believe he supports us every day with his gentle wisdom. We are profoundly moved by the presence of his wife at today's ceremony, Dr. Halina Krasińska. And now I would like to ask you to join me in honoring this remarkable man whose vision has touched all of our lives. Let us thank him together with the applause he so greatly deserves. I believe he will hear us some.
Yes, please stand up.
Thank you very much. We have now come to the very solemn moment of taking a most significant oath. I kindly request everyone to stand, sorry, again. And newly admitted students, please raise your right hand and repeat after me. I solemnly pledge that I will tirelessly strive to acquire knowledge and develop my own personality, respect the university authorities, and all members of the academic community. I will observe the university laws and recognize its customs, as well as care for the dignity and honor of a student of a Lodz University of Technology with my conduct. Thank you very much. You will now be officially welcomed by the deans of your faculties and me as well. You will also receive a special pin with IFE logo. So please wear it proudly and respectfully and be proof of an excellent quality of IFE student. So please be seated. And now I would like to ask the Dean of the Faculty of Mechanical Engineering and the Rector of our university to welcome.
We welcome Professor Jacek Sawicki, the Dean of the Faculty of Mechanical Engineering, the magnificent Rector, Professor Krzysztof Jóźwik, and the Director of Lodz University of Technology, Professor Dorota Piotrowska. And now I would kindly ask the first program of study to come here. This will be the program Business Society and Technology. Bartczak Agnieszka, Białkowski Wiktor, Brandenburg Kacper, Brodowski Hubert, Dobrowolska Oliwia, Emilianowicz Zofia, Ferlich Kacper, Grudzień Dawid, Jakubowska Maria, Janicka Zuzanna, Kalinka Anna, Kawecka Julia, Kaźmierczak Mikołaj, Korbel Hanna, Lęczewska Antonina, Lewy Filip, Małowski Szymon, Paszkiewicz Mikołaj, Pęcherz Agnieszka, Redkowski Hubert, Ścios Anna, Siepielski Jakub, Subotowicz Julian, Szyburski Maciej, Ślifierski Daniel, Świsłowska Dominika, Tomporowska Marta, Walichowski Tadeusz. And now we ask another group of Business, Society and Technology Program of Studies. Batory Kornelia, Bąkowicz Lena, Błażejewska Maria, Brochocka Aleksandra, Brzozowski Patryk, Cyndel Magdalena, Jaszczyk Dominik, Kaczor Lena, Koczkodon Nadia, Kopczyńska Hanna, Kwiatkowski Bartosz, Latkowska Natalia, Lombardi Luka, Nowicz Agata, Owczarek Magdalena, Pajewski Jakub, Papiernik Mikołaj, Pawlak Aleksandra, Pawlata Julian, Plaskota Joanna, Pyżanowska Zuzanna, Ratajczyk Maja, Różycka Ewa, Różycki Jakub, Sircaj Zejnep, Szczepanik Amelia, Szczepańczyk Julia, Urbaniak Michalina, Woszczak Paweł. And now we have a large group of mechanical engineering students. Ahmed Azad, Borkowski Tomasz, Chełmecki Jerzy, Hołuj Hanna, Cieślak Jan, Dobryński Walerii, Gerlicz Witold, Górniak Bartosz, Heleniak Michał, Jasnorzewski Stanisław, Jędrczak Amelia, Karbowiak Adam, Kmieciak Kacper, Knul Stanisław, Koczaski Mikołaj, Kolasa Michał, Kolata Dawid, Kołata Aleksandra, Kosatka Jakub, Kosińska Laura, Kowal Aleksandra, Kowalczuk Angelika, Krala Karolina, Krupa Samuel, Kucharek Mateusz, Kunat Paulina, Malinowski Mateusz, Marcinek Hanna, Nasonow Oleksandr, Nowacka Natalia, Nowacki Jan, Oczkowski Mateusz, Padzik Weronika, Pęczek Maciej, Pieruk Albert, Pietrus Dominika, Prystupa Zakar, Przygońska Maciej, Rębowski Mateusz, Rutkowska Natalia, Salienko Władysław, Szbeta Filip, Sikorski Oliwier, Słodkowska Agata, Suchcicki Filip, Tokarek Zofia, Tomaszewski Jakub, Topal Kiril, Turkowski Oskar, Wiącek Zuzanna, Wiśniewski Jan, Wójt Mikołaj, Zarzeczny Piotr. cały czas biznes? To jest przez cały czas mechanika, później będzie biomedyka. To jest biomedyka? Tak, 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 tak. I would like to thank Professor Jacek Sawicki for conducting this part of matriculation for mechanical engineering students. And I would kindly ask Professor Jacek Kucharski, the Dean of the Faculty of Electrical, Electronic, Computer and Control Engineering, for conducting this part of matriculation for the first program of study, Biomedical Engineering and Technologies. Adamusiak Magdalena, Hachuła Marta, Garncarek Hubert, Gontarczyk Wiktoria, Grobelny Jan, Jachowicz Jakub, Jakubowska Olga, Jędrzejewska Maria, Kłos Klara, Korzeniowska Helena, Krajewski Jakub, Lisiecki Piotr, Maląg Lena, Myrta Natalia, Pacewicz Wiktor, Patterson Jake, Perczak Julian, Pogoda Krzysztof, Poźniak Hanna, Sladkowa Ngoc, Staszczyk Fabian, Szawracki Igor, Szczygłowska Pola, Tokarczuk Władysława, Wach Alek, Wasilewska Zuzanna, Woźniak Bartłomiej, Zason Mateusz, Zięba Monika. And here we have an enormous group of computer science program of study students. I kindly ask Bilicki Jan, Bińkowski Wojciech, Brzękowski Kacper, Caban Nikodem, Capała Wojciech, Demir Eralp, Deperas Filip, Dębowski Bartosz, Drygała Maksym, Florczak Bartosz, Fras Karolina, Galach Piotr, Golec Stanisław, Górniak Julia, Górski Kacper, Herasymczuk Arseni, Janasik Wiktor, Kaczmarek Amanda, Kapiczenka Stanisław, Kisielewski Mikołaj, Klepacz Jakub, Kłosiński Patryk, Kopka Karolina, Korenkow Danil, Korenkow Roman, Koszulski Mieszko, Krasoń Mateusz, Kubiak Mateusz, Legęć Dawid, Leszczyński Serhii, Łęgocki Wojciech, Malinowski Tymon, Mamiński Filip, Marciniak Adam, Mierzwińska Wiktoria, Müller Michał, Nowakowski Michał, Olkiewicz Miłosz, Pacewicz Emilia, Parada Michał, Purdes Olech, Siger Jan, Sikorski Filip, Stankiewicz Szymon, Stępień Antoni, Stępniak Karol, Szczepaniak Jan, Szymajda Paweł, Telenhana Kocemba Matthew, Tomaszewski Marcel, Tuncz Jakub, Turbiasz Kacper, Wergiles Jarosław, Wergili Nehir, Wajszczyk Maciej, Zakrzewski Bartosz, Zawalski Wiktor, Zombirt Wojciech. Within this great faculty, we have also Electronic and Telecommunication Engineering program of study. Azarowa Karina, Błaszczyk Maksymilian, Burski Wojciech, Ciepłucha Damian, Cyndrowski Borys, Dzienia Kacper, Głąb Emilia, Goliński Franciszek, Grabowski Marcel, Holc Kacper, Jan Kosma, Kaszewski Jan, Kędzierski Wojciech, Krakowiak Krzysztof, Kubik Konrad, Kudriawcew Witalij, Lorentowicz Mateusz, Malik Tymoteusz, Marciniak Kajetan, Markiewicz Jan, Morawski Mikołaj, Pietrzak Michał, Piotrowski Maciej, Pryputa Tymofii, Szulc Jan, Wojtala Sebastian, Wróblewski Maciej, Zagajewski Aleksander. Thank you very much, Professor Jacek Kucharski, for conducting this part of matriculation. And now I would like to cordially welcome Professor Małgorzata Szynkowska-Jóźwik, the Dean of the Faculty of Chemistry, that will lead the matriculation ceremony for the students of the Advanced Bio-Based and Bio-Inspired Materials program of study. And we would like to welcome Błaszczyk Anna, Ciechońska Natalia, Dymek Mikołaj, Estkowski Szymon, Gajewska Emilia, Górecka Anna, Kierzek Julia, Lasek Julita, Lis Patrycja, Madej Karina, Majda Julia, Makulska Antonina, Młynarczyk Nina, Ostalczyk Ignacy, Perz Stanisław, Pietrusiak Artur, Pigla Wiktoria, Pluciński Paweł, Podczaska Antonina, Sadowski Jan, Wojciechowski Szymon, Woźniczak Kacprzak Paulina, Ziarkowska Julia. Warm thanks to the Dean of the Faculty of Chemistry, Professor Małgorzata Szynkowska-Jóźwik. Thank you very much. And can I please ask Professor Edyta Gędaszewska-Darmach, the Dean of the Faculty of Biotechnology and Food Sciences, to lead the matriculation for Industrial Biotechnology Program of Studies matriculation. Barańska Matylda, Bielski Patryk, Bogdał Patryk, Chworoś Matylda, Ciołkowski Kamil, Czekalska Lilianna, Durkiewicz Zuzanna, Fijałkowska Maja, Filipowska Martyna, Forysiak Andrzej, Karapiperi Adamantia, Keruła Abdella, Krajewska Maja, Maciejewska Martyna, Mankiewicz Jakub, Roślak Joanna, Rupiewicz Alicja, Sas Maja, Stępnik Filip, Szablak Nina, Świderek Maciej, Tęgos Julia, Tomaszewska Maria. Thank you very much, Professor Edyta Gendaszewska-Darma. And now it is time for the matriculation of the students of the Faculty of Technical Physics, Information Technology and Applied Mathematics. That's why I kindly ask Professor Robert Sarzała to lead the matriculation for the students. And here we have students of Information Technology program. Awad Hamza, Barski Borys, Bejmert Maksymilian, Białek Oliwier, Biały Wojciech, Budny Arkadiusz, Chmurski Maksymilian, Danielewicz Michał, Dargiel Maksymilian, Dębczyk Aleksander, Filipek Wiktor, Fornalski Kacper, Furman Aleksander, Goraus Maja, Gosik Adam, Grabarz Antoni, Hawryliuk Roman, Hubin Danilo, Karpenko Bogdan, Kędziera Piotr, Kotyrlo Tymofi, Kowalczyk Dominik, Krzelowska Emilia, Krzewiński Igor, Kunikowski Kamil, Kurzydlak Piotr, Machniewicz Łukasz, Maćkowiak Lucjan, Marciniak Jagoda, Mazur Artem, Michalski Adam, Ogiński Krzysztof, Pawlikowski Hubert, Pam Kien, Piekutowski Bartosz. Piroch Denys, Płaczkowski Piotr, Rogaczewski Szymon, Romański Patryk, Rozmus Olaf, Rutkowski Dawid, Seniuk Władysław, Sikora Bartosz, Sikorski Dawid, Sobczyński Michał, Szałanda Julian, Szydlik Adam, Szymaszek Maksym, Szymor Oskar, Timonin Dmytro, Traczyk Kajetan, Trębacz Jakub, Ulatowski Rafał, Walas Szymon, Wojciechowska Aleksandra, Wolowacz Jan, Zbrożek Mateusz. Another program of study students to be matriculated are from the mathematical methods in data analysis. Balcerczak Jan, Błaszczyk Nataniel, Bogdan Bartosz, Boka Daria, Borkowski Michał, Ciesielska Julita, Gawrońska Milena, Guziński Antoni, Harlan Edera, Halanec Konstantin, Jurga Antoni, Kanicka Jagoda, Karbowiak Karolina, Kasprzyk Paulina, Kopczyński Szymon, Kossowska Zuzanna, Kresa Filip, Kysil Nazar, Lebioda Jakub, Łysiuk Wiktor, Meisner Nadia, Marcinkowska Marlena, Motwani Alan, Ososiuk Maksym, Paturaj Oliwia, Pietrucha Hubert, Sawicki Bartosz, Słowik Natalia, Szewczyk Filip, Schulz Weronika, Wiśniewska Alicja, Wołoszyn Julia. And now Modeling and Data Science Program of Study. Abu Hilal Majd, Biedrzycki Jakub, Brząkała Igor, Bujacz Tomasz, Chmielecki Szymon, Chojnacka Kornelia, Depcik Julia, Dębski Szymon, Fabrykowska Julia, Gawron Dawid, Janiszewski Jakub, Kamińska Patrycja, Karolak Piotr, Lęczewski Kajetan, Mikołajczyk Oskar, Mroczek Mikołaj, Muchiewicz Rafał, Pasiński Szymon, Pawlak Juliusz, Petryszyn Mark, Sadłecki Franciszek, Szanmugam Monika, Skóra Kacper, Sofiński Jakub, Szachin Mahir, Wieczorek Amelia, Wolski Filip, Wróblewska Karolina, Jesin Oleksandr, Zieliński Jan. Thank you very much, Professor Robert Sarzała, for conducting this part of matriculation. Can I please ask Dr. Ilona Pęcz, the Vice Dean of the Faculty of Organization and Management, to lead the matriculation ceremony for the students of Business Studies program of study. Adamczyk Katarzyna, Aladżmi Dżumana, Borkowska Amelia, Brzeziński Szymon, Bukrzyńska Maria, Cisek Hanna, Cytoński Oskar, Grzelak Antoni, Jurek Natalia, Kaczmarek Marcelina, Kanicki Jacek, Kobus Adrian, Kropat Tomasz, Kwapisz Wiktor, Liśkiewicz Hanna, Marczak Wiktoria, Miazek Oskar, Mikołajczyk Jerzy, Otomańska Zuzanna, Piórkowska Laura, Poreda Maria, Rytych Hanna, Sawczak Markian, Stolarczyk Nikola, Strzelińska Liwia, Wlaslow Iwan, Walczak Klaudia, Więcławska Maja, Zielonka Lena. Thank you very much, Dr. Ilona Pęcz-Pietrzak, for leading this part. Thank you very much.
Now I would like to introduce you to someone completely unique. Here are ambitious high school students who are reaching high and trying unconventional things in life. This time, they are starting their studies as a part of a French Young Engineer Academy. Congratulations to the directors, leaders, and the teachers from all the schools from which the student got in after a challenging admissions. This year, we had very challenging admissions for FAMI Academy. So congratulations to all of you. And now I will invite a representative from, also representing an embassy, but being the Managing Director of Alliance Française in which, Vincent Garin, to officially welcome students. Ladies and gentlemen, with your kind permission, I shall now continue for a short moment in French language. Alors, chers étudiants des familles, vous savez déjà, je suis extrêmement fière de vous. C'est maintenant votre tour. Vous allez être officiellement accueillis dans l'Académie Famille par Monsieur le recteur de l'université, ainsi que par d'autres personnalités essentielles, sans le soutien desquelles notre académie ne pourrait pas exister. Je parle de Madame consul honoraire de France à Łódź, Madame Alicia Bień, et aussi Madame Anna Szwagjak, the Director of Veolia Energia Łódź. Alors, vous devez maintenant prêter serment, d'accord? Alors, levez-vous s'il vous plaît. Please stand up. Sorry. Comme toujours, levez la main droite et répétez après moi. Je jure et promets de m'engager à étudier de manière sérieuse afin d'acquérir des connaissances et de développer mes capacités et mes compétences personnelles. Je m'engage à respecter les lois, le règlement et l'autorité de l'Université polytechnique de Łódź. Par ma conduite, je jure de défendre l'honneur et la dignité en tant qu'étudiant de l'Académie. Thank you very much. Please sit down. And now I would like to invite Rector Professor Krzysztof Jóźwik, Vincent Garin, the Director of the Alliance Française in Łódź, Ms. Alicia Bień, to officially welcome and matriculate students of FAMI Academy, French Academy for Young Engineers.
So we would kindly ask the FAMI students to stand up.
Yes.
And I will ask one by one to come here to receive the matriculation, FAMI matriculation. Brambor Vanessa, Dałek Helena, Gałązka Laura, Gładyszewska Zofia, Janowski Grzegorz, Jarkowiec Nikola, Jęczkowska Agnieszka, Kaźmierska Antonina, Kiedrzynek Julia, Klimczak Magdalena, Król Bernard Rachela, Łukaszewska Klaudia, Niczyparuk Anastazja, Oberska Anna, Petryńska Łucja. Piotrowska Zofia, Piaskowska Maria, Rezakiewicz Małgorzata, Rumiński Kajetan, Ryc Zuzanna, Soczewka Jakub, Tamborek Malwina, Wierzbowska Julia, Wojciechowska Wiktoria, Woszczyk Emilia.
Thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, this project could not exist without the support and recognition of those two very important persons. So I would like you to meet them. First of all, Alicia Bień. Thank you very much for supporting us in this project. I know it is not easy, and this is sometimes very challenging. However, your recognition, your support is invaluable. And thank you very much for making the sense to what we are doing with high school. So thank you so much. So we are done with the official matriculation. So now I would like to ask for His Magnificence, Rector of the Łódź University of Technology, Professor Krzysztof Jóźwik, to officially open new academic year at IFE.
Now it's time that we start the academic year. The words will be in Latin language. Quo Felix fastum fortunateque sit.
Please stand up and welcome at this stage our choir to perform Gaude Mater Polonia. Where is the choir? No choir. Okay. Okay. Choir. Where's the choir?
The head of the council is useful.
Aha, a to jest, może to dam radę. Thank you very much. Please be seated. Ladies and gentlemen, it is both a privilege and a pleasure to welcome today our guest of honor, Ms. Aleksandra Uznańska-Wiśniewska. With her expertise and inspiring perspective, she will deliver today inaugural lecture that marks the beginning of our academic year. Ladies and gentlemen, Please join me in extending a warm welcome as I invite Mrs. Aleksandra Uznańska-Wiśniewska to take the floor.
Dear rectors, dear professors, esteemed faculty members, distinguished guests, and dear students, it is my absolute joy and an absolute privilege to be able to address you today at the new academic year opening of the International Faculty of Engineering. And I have no doubt that in this very room, we have some of the brightest minds in this country today. And I have no doubt that each of you has persevered through endless exams, sleepless nights, labs, different student competitions, and in the end, as very stringent and strict selection program in order to find yourself in this room. Congratulations. And I have no doubt that you have a great and enormous potential, every single one of you in this room. And I would like to say that with your potential comes responsibility. And I dare to say, as the opening thesis, that we are currently experiencing perhaps the most serious geopolitical tensions in the world since the end of the Cold War. And I will share with you a few reflections that hopefully will encourage you to have, first, the rationality to accurately assess the circumstances in which we all find ourselves in. Second, the humility to identify our own place, your own place, in this grand scheme of things, however modest. And third, the audacity to develop a bold vision of how each of you, with your unique talents, intellect, and potential, can seek to play a positive role and serve in this trying time. And to begin, allow me to recall the words of the American writer David Brooks, who once wrote that there are two sets of virtues: the resume virtues and the eulogy virtues. The resume virtues are the ones that make us successful in our professions, whether we're skilled at teaching, adept in science, or accomplished in the marketplace. These are the qualities that fill a CV of every one of us, that secure positions, promotions, and titles. But then there are the eulogy virtues, so the qualities of our character that others remember during our funeral. Were we kind? Were we courageous? Were we generous? Were we honest? Were we capable of deep friendship? And were we capable of deep love? And we all somehow, I suspect, instinctively know and feel, though we sometimes forget, that the eulogy virtues are more important than the resume ones. For achievement alone does not provide moral fulfillment. A career may bring us importance, but not necessarily significance. Many who have amassed status and wealth and prestige will in the end of their lives admit, in the quiet of reflection, I have achieved success, but not depth. I have gained importance, but not significance. And yet, significance is what I suspect we truly long for. A life of character. Therefore, let's ask ourselves, how does character actually develop in reference to the eulogy virtues? And we're really good at talking about material things and skills for the marketplace, but we're really bad at talking about character and values in today's world in a way that doesn't sound old-fashioned and archaic and out of place or amusing. We have lost the language to do so. Our professional language has become overly commercialized and overly politicized and morally underdeveloped. Most of us have clearer strategies for how to achieve career success than we do for how to develop a profound character. So this is the challenge before all of us. And I believe that answer to that challenge, and indeed, perhaps to the question of the meaning of life itself, lies in attempts to take responsibility. Responsibility for others, responsibility for truth, responsibility for the common good. And as I've mentioned to start, today's world calls for responsibility. And so, to you all in this room, I encourage you to ask yourself, at what point do your particular unique talents, skills, and intellect meet the world's greatest need? And myself, for the first time, I found myself desperately trying to answer that question about 10 years ago. It was December 2015. And I was during a winter break at my own university, volunteering on an island of Lesbos in Greece. It was the height of the refugee and migrant crisis, with thousands of people trying to seek asylum in Europe and cross the Aegean Sea, part of the Mediterranean Sea, swimming from Turkey to Greece. And under the EU Facilitation Directive, EU law, humanitarian aid at sea began to be criminalized. So any act of rescuing people in the water was equated with assistance to human smuggling. So under threat of arrest, we were forbidden to bring people safely to shore. And a dark, cynical joke emerged amongst the volunteers. How can you tell that someone works for UNHCR? Well, they never get their shoes wet. And the first night on the shore, myself, serving with a group of other volunteers, helped about 3 boats, approximately 30, 40 people on each boat. But 17 people drowned by the Turkish shore. And I told myself that I must, as much as I can, try to empirically understand what pushes a mother to put a child, her own child, on a boat on which, if I had one, I would never put one myself. And I wanted to understand it as much as I could, deeply and profoundly and viscerally, so that perhaps one day, much later, I could try to prevent these tragedies. And then for the next 8 years, with near obsession, to be frank, and taking risks, I've tried to carry that responsibility. After working in refugee camps in Greece, I then moved to working in refugee camps in France, then in Turkey and Jordan on the Syria crisis, then on the ground in Iraq following the Battle of Mosul and the collapse of the self-proclaimed ISIS Caliphate. And then I completed a nearly 2 years deployment to Yemen, running a water sanitation mission and a medical mission responding to cholera crisis and then COVID-19 pandemic. And time and again, I said farewell to my protesting family here in Łódź in order to throw myself where state had collapsed and the systems, institutions were failing, to try to, as much as I could, to learn, to try to serve, and above all, to try to understand. Until my last mission, which was the 12-month deployment to Ukraine, where I served as a head of mission for Intersos, an international humanitarian organization providing medical, psychosocial, and material frontline assistance during the first year of the full-scale war, where I served between April 2022 to April 2024. And it was one of the greatest honors, perhaps, of my life. And then one day, on the 14th of January 2023, during a mass missile attack, a hypersonic missile, a so-called Kinjal, struck into a residential building next to our office, a walking distance from our base in Dnipro. And Kinjals, the missiles, hypersonic missiles, fly with a speed of 4,000 kilometers per hour, and no Ukrainian missile defense system can intercept them effectively. So 236 apartments had collapsed. It was very widely covered by the media. It looked as if some monstrosity devoured an enormous part of a residential building. And a lot of bodies were simply caught under the rubble with no means to retrieve them, but which were just pronounced as missing. And despite having tried your age really, having tried to seek bigger and bigger tools of impact and building bigger and bigger teams and seeking bigger budgets. And despite the fact that at that stage already I was running a 250 staff international mission in Ukraine, all that I could do at the time was to go to the impact site, and I took a candle with me, which I used in my Kyiv office when we were losing electricity. Every couple of hours there was electricity loss. And I remember, sort of foolishly lighting that candle underneath the impact site and just sitting by the ruins. Humanitarian work alone, no matter how devoted, is like putting a Band-Aid on a wound that keeps getting shot and shot again and again. And for every life we saved, whether in Yemen or in Ukraine or Iraq or in refugee camps, there were many, many, many more that we could not. And all assistance was never enough, and it always seemed so grossly insufficient. And without concrete economic sanctions, and without legal prosecution and enforcement of international rule-based order, all humanitarian actors in conflict they're actually capable of is, like Linda Polman once cynically and brutally wrote, they're handing out sandwiches at the gates of Auschwitz. And the United Nations and other humanitarian agencies are, in some ways, indeed, the conscience of the world. They carry the duty of bringing aid to those in need. But too often, they become a substitute for real action, a way for governments to outsource their primary responsibility. And too often, they shift the focus away from those who truly have the power and truly have the duty to act, the political actors. And the same applies to the unspeakable violence and suffering found today in Gaza. Humanitarian aid is therefore necessary to save lives, but the real solutions are not to be found on the ground in Dnipro or in Bakhmut or in Gaza, but to be urgently fought for outside, here, in Warsaw, in Brussels, in London, in Beijing, and in Washington. That reflection and that sense of helplessness at that time on the 14th of January, in the face of these enormous human rights violations, were ultimately for me the reason why I decided to return to Poland a few months later and to put myself forward to run for office and to try my best to seek bigger tools of impact so that Poland also does not slip into autocracy. And I believed, with my own assessment, that at that time, a couple of years back, we were dangerously going into this authoritarian populist direction, but that we take place as a rightful, serious, and responsible leader of NATO's eastern flank. And dear students, today is the 1,316th day of Russian war in Ukraine since the Russian full-scale reinvasion. 1,316 days of our neighbors waking up to pools of blood of their beloved ones from yet another Shahed strike, drone attack, missile attack from ballistic missile, hypersonic missiles, hitting yet another apartment block, school, kindergarten, a university like this. And brave and battered Ukraine has kept Putin's army away from NATO's borders and from our borders. And it is very much a David versus Goliath fight, a deeply Christian archetype. And I suspect that the ambition of Russian imperialism stretches far beyond Donetsk and Lugansk, but it seeks to reestablish the sphere of influence lost after the collapse of the USSR. And the fact that today, behind Przemysl and behind Rzeszów, we do not have Russian Federation, but we have a bleeding out, but still fighting, still gasping for air Ukraine, is only due to the bravery and the determination of the Ukrainians fighting still until today. Therefore, not allowing for Putin's victory and a peace on the terms of Kremlin and stopping Russian imperial expansion is the single best strategic investment in our peaceful future here. Supporting Ukraine and thereby pushing the Russian aggression away from European borders is not charity. It is our national interest. We must do everything in our power to provide hope, to strengthen Ukrainians' defense posture and negotiating position. And as you know, on the night of September 10th, in an unprecedented act of aggression, 21 Russian drones on purpose violated the Polish airspace. And Poland and NATO, our allies, we acted fast to protect our allied airspace. And for the first time, Russian drones have been shot down over the territory of NATO. However, the same night, Ukraine faced an attack of over 415 drones and over 40 missiles. And then, not much later, on 19th of September, Estonia reported that 3 MiG-31 Russian fighter jets entered and stayed in its airspace for 12 minutes. If Russia undertakes such actions, it means that it tolerates the risk of escalation. It means that our deterrence here must be stronger. The Russians are testing us, and they do so because they believe they can. They will do everything to test and probe and hit below the threshold of an open conflict. This time, impunity cannot be allowed. Putin only understands the language of force, as proven by Russians' destructive actions in Georgia, in Chechnya, in the Balkans, Moldova, Syria, Libya, all up to, of course, Crimea and Ukraine today. And Poland, therefore, pushes for stronger sanctions and tariffs on Russia and its neighbors. We must make the cost of this war unbearable on the aggressor. Windfall revenues from frozen Russian assets should serve to rebuild what Moscow has destroyed in Ukraine. And dear students, let us be clear. Putin does not fear so much NATO as a defensive alliance. He's not threatened by NATO. He's threatened by democracy. He's threatened by democratic expansion. Putin, like all dictators, is threatened by democratic ideas, democratic government, and democratic sentiments. He cannot tolerate a successful and democratic Ukraine on Russia borders, especially if it is also to prosper economically, because that prosperous Ukraine would undermine the Kremlin's own regime stability and rationale for Russian autocracy. And while we defend it, let us not take our rights and our democracy and our peace here that we enjoy today for granted. June 4th is a holiday of freedom in Poland, a celebration of the first free and fair elections of 1989 following the collapse of USSR. But June 4th is not only a day of celebration, it is also a day of a bloody warning. You see, my grandfather was a refugee from China. As a 6-year-old boy, together with his parents, he fled famine during 1940s in China by boat, crossing from China, mainland China, to Bangkok, Thailand. And his life was marked by exile and by survival. And therefore, in our family, we have the memory of 4th of June, also as the anniversary of the Tiananmen Square massacre. On that night, from June 3rd to June 4th, 1989, on our celebration of freedom here, the Chinese army opened fire on peaceful pro-democracy student protests, students like yourselves. And nearly 10,000 civilians were killed that night. June 4th reminds us that freedom can be both hard-won, but also hard denied. The remains of the students were burned, and their bodies were hidden and cast into the sewers. And it reminds us that liberty and democracy, the right to education, to freedom, that each of you here enjoys, that each of us enjoys here, is never guaranteed, is not to be taken for granted, but is to be cherished and guarded and protected. And I truly believe that we must vehemently preserve our democracies and the rule of law and resist disinformation and the rise of the extreme populists. And whether it's the extremists in Poland, Assemblée Nationale in France, Alternative für Deutschland in Germany, Nigel Farage's Reform UK Party, Viktor Orban's Fidesz in Hungary, the pattern is the same: Euroscepticism, anti-immigration, anti-Ukrainian rhetoric, and at times even a strange fascination with neo-fascism and with the politics of Vladimir Putin. And Democrats and we must not fall into the populist trap of these rhetorics, no matter how tempting such populism may seem in the short term, because strategically it leads only to a tragedy and serves the Kremlin. Dear students, we are here, and you're here studying at a unique time in Europe. And however flawed and sometimes ineffective, but we still have liberal governments in power across key states in Europe: Poland, France, Germany, UK. Unfortunately, that might not be the case in a few years' time. So let us use this wisely. Europe faces an existential choice: unite and act as a higher power, or to become marginalized. Either we start exerting ourselves and demonstrating collective unity, strength, solidarity, and thus our independence and deterrence, or our bureaucracy will become stuck in an imperial sandwich between Russia, China, Iran, North Korea. Therefore, we must stop acting small. Let us remember, and I'm saying it as a progressive politician, the greatest European achievements: the Greek philosophy, the Roman civilization, the Judeo-Christian values, which later gave birth to secular ideas of human dignity and individual freedom and human rights. And whether we want it or not, it falls on us and it falls on you to defend them. Dear students, each of you has a role to play. I encourage you to take on as much responsibility as you can and fight tirelessly and ceaselessly in service of values which you hold dear. The future of Poland, of Europe, and indeed of the free world depends on you. It depends on every one of us here. And just one last point to finish off. I have found that political alliances rise and fall. And scientific teams as well are bound over projects which begin and which end. And both often in a spirit of fierce competition. However, what endures is friendship. So look around you. Look around the colleagues which are sitting in front, behind you, and on your left and on your right. Because I believe that there exists amongst us here an unspoken bond. A bond that unites the rebels, the dreamers, the mathematicians, the scientists, the physicists, and engineers, those who, each of us in our own way, try to strive to understand the world better and to improve it when it gets apocalyptic. And no matter where we come from and how diverse our fields of education and study are, no matter what our color of our skin might be, what our ethnicity is, who we love, we're all equal and far more alike than it actually seems. That is why I hope that this academic year today, beginning today, above all, will bring you new friendships. Because there are very few things in this world as powerful and as consoling and as necessary as friendship itself. Brotherhood in the face of challenge, and community in the face of uncertainty. And I've learned this not only as an abstract truth, but as a lived one. In 2019, when I was deployed to Yemen, I felt ill with malaria. And I was initially misdiagnosed in a local hospital. and I was not administered malaria drugs early enough. So in the end, I ended up lying on top of my office in Aden, in Yemen, with IV drips hanging from my window, just to reduce my fever and to reduce my chills, and myself just falling in and out of consciousness. And it was my friends from the International Committee of the Red Cross and my friends from my Yemeni team of the Polish Humanitarian Action that saved me, that saved my life, that fed me, that kept storytelling to me and cheering me up until I returned to full health. And later, when I faced what was really a quite difficult and sometimes even brutal parliamentary campaign, full of disinformation and propaganda, it was again friends who decided to sleep on mattresses in my apartment in Łódź for a few months and who campaigned with me on the streets day in, day out, and that allowed me to carry through. For if we are able to fight for tangible change in the world, no one of us can achieve it alone. We must support one another. We must help each other persevere and rise. Friendship and solidarity is not something extra. It is the foundation. It is what carries us through struggle, and it is what gives us the courage to build something better. And so now, let's get some friends, and let's get to work. Thank you.
Thank you very much for this deep reflection. I had no doubt that your lecture would be of the highest standard, and indeed it was. Thank you so much. And I truly hope it is only the beginning of our cooperation, and that you will agree to support us in our educational, initiatives, just to support our students, young students from FAMI Academy as well. They really need you. They need the support, the guidance through these very, very difficult times. Thank you so much. Okay, let's conclude this part of this great inaugural lecture with a most important song, academic song, performed. Yes, they are ready, hopefully. Yes, the choir. Gaudamus Igitur. Please stand up. Performed as previously by the academic choir of the Łódź University of Technology.
Gaudamus igitur juvenes dum sumus. Gaudamus igitur juvenes dum sumus. Post iucundam juventutem, post molestam senectutem, nos haberit fumus. Nos haberit fumus. Vivat Academia, vivat professores, vivat Academia, vivat professores, vivat membrum foliber, vivat membrum feliber, semper sit in flores, semper sit in flores.
Thank you very much. Thank you for your great support. So, our ceremony has now come to an end. I would like to sincerely thank you all for your presence today, the official inaugural ceremony of a new academic year. Before we leave the hall, allow me to express my gratitude to few people without whom this event could not have taken place. So first of all, I would like to express my big thanks to Professor Iwona Szynkowska for her kind hospitality in her department and faculty building. We are the Tadeusz Parejczak auditorium. Thank you so much. I would like to thank Mr. Paweł Mrugalski and his team of Multimedia Center for supporting us with multimedia message, but also with this short film about Professor Jan Krzyński. I would like to thank the choir of the Łódź University of Technology and its conductor, Mr. Kamil Chałupnik, for adding a splendor to our ceremony today. Thank you. Last but not least, I would like to thank my International Cooperation Center team, who for many, many days worked with dedication to prepare this celebration and to make it truly unforgettable for all of us. Thank you very much. You cannot see them, but they are here and there. Now, I kindly ask you to rise and remain standing as the rectors, deans, and official guests depart the hall. Color guard, please proceed to leave the hall.